Hi, I'm Joe. Yeah, you know that one guy that was on that well-written show that no one watched? Well, he's bringing back his other show. You know, the one where he stands in front of a green screen and makes snarky pop culture jokes. It's on that one app with the red and white logo. Well, anyway, here's what the average consumer thinks of the first 3 months of 2018. So, Roseanne is back, and apparently 25 million people were watching the first 2 episodes. The question I have is, what was John Goodman watching? Seriously, watch the first 2 episodes again. He's all over the place. Like a confused old man. Hey Rosie, does this mean I gotta make a crappy Flintstones and Blues Brothers movies again? So A Quiet Place opened up #1 at the box office this weekend. Depending on when this video comes out, which to be fair, comes out whenever I finish it. So the opening weekend for A Quiet Place was good. It was #1. That's the premise of the joke. And just like some of the greatest movies of all time, like The Shining and Jurassic Park, it's got some great dialogue. It's like memorable lines such as, and, hey, did you know that they aired the Oscars this year? Yeah, it was hosted by late night talk show host Jimmy #3, and the most exciting moment was when Bill Murray surprised Dan Aykroyd with a big French kiss. I mean, how do you know it didn't happen? Nobody watched it. But, I mean, I think Bill Murray would French kiss Dan Aykroyd if Wes Anderson told him to. Now on to some movie reviews. Follow me into the theater. And this is what the average consumer thinks of Black Panther.
My son, it is your time.
Show me my respect and bow down.
You get to decide what kind of king you are going to be.
I liked it. The characters were original. The environment was great to look at. The plot, on the other hand, was not so original. They had 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's traditional plots. The first one is a hero has a tool that the bad guy wants to weaponize. However, I'll give this movie credit because they had the additional twist that the bad guy wanted to share the tool with the world instead of keeping it for himself or his own selfish needs and personal gain. So I'll give the movie credit for that, but it still was their traditional plot. The second one was inner family struggle for the throne. 2 family members fighting for the throne. Other than that, the fights were great. It was a little long, and the ending had that traditional CGI army fighting another CGI army that started in the Star Wars prequels, continued on into Alice in Wonderland, the Oz Great and Powerful, Lord of the Rings, and then it went through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, including Iron Man 3, and I'm sure it's going to be in Avengers Infinity War. That traditional, pointless CGI army fighting another pointless CGI army that's going on in the background. Watch for it in Infinity War. But as far as Black Panther, I give it a recommend, and that's what the average consumer thinks of Black Panther. And this is what the average consumer thinks of Ready Player One.
People come to the Oasis for all the things they can do, but they stay because of all the things they can be.
And you'll see
I'm here talking to all of you now because our future's being threatened.
I just came here to escape. But I found something much bigger than myself. I found my friends.
So I liked it, but of all the movies that I like, this is the one I hate the most. Okay? So here's what it's about. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where everyone lives in a virtual reality simulator. They have real lives, but then they put on these helmets and live in the virtual reality world. In this world, the creator of it put in this 4-level game. If you beat the game, you get all of the money and the power of the entire world, both reality and the VR world. So here's what I didn't like about it. First off, the 3 acts. The first one fucking pissed me the fuck off. Here's why, and I never thought I would say this. The fact that this movie gets me to say this phrase is what pisses me off. It had too many pop culture references. Yes, too many pop culture references. So, in this VR world, everyone has avatars, and they could even be fictional pop culture characters, such as Batman or whoever. And they could even hang out with pop culture characters, which at first I thought was going to be awesome, but this movie abused it. For instance, the first stage in the game, the main character has to be in a drag race, and the car that he chooses gets to be the flying, time-traveling DeLorean from Back to the Future. Yes, Back to the Future is very close to my vest. I was excited to see it until they pissed in my face. Then I was mad that they pissed in my face. Here's why. He's in a flying, time-traveling DeLorean. He doesn't use it to fly or time travel. So why have it be a flying, time-traveling DeLorean? Why not use another car from another movie that's known for going fast? Especially since there's an entire franchise based around cars going fast! It was a reference for the sake of making a reference. The way you make a pop culture reference is you have it be natural. You have it make sense. Imagine if I said Johnny went to school and learned a lot of facts. That sentence makes sense. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has information in it. This movie, it would be Johnny went to Batman, James Bond, the Jetsons, Nike, Iron Giant. See how that sentence doesn't make sense? But there's tons of pop culture references. That's what this movie does. You need to have it be natural. And it's also a great way to have your character relate to the audience. Hey, you know of Gilligan's Island? I know of Gilligan's Island. We relate. This movie just sprouts them out. I felt like I was watching every episode of Robot Chicken at once while having ADD and on crack. It didn't make sense. It was abusive, and I felt like they were talking down to me. It was very pandering, and it pissed me off. So, okay, second act. It was a plot I've been seeing that existed for 80 years. It's been reused for 80 years. It's a rebel who thinks differently outside of the box, goes up against a corporation. You know, kind of like The Hunger Games, Divergent, The Maze Runner, The Island, Clonus, The Parts Horror, THX 1138, and oh yeah, that little book that no one really heard of called George Orwell's 1984. Yes, they were basically using the plot of 1984, which has been reused, and reused, and reused, and reused. And after it's been reused to death, this movie used it. So, okay, on to Act 3. It was all about escape. He needs to escape. She needs to escape. He doesn't even know he needs to escape. And And I'm sitting there thinking, I need to escape from the theater, Joel Hansen style. So, and the CGI, it was pretty bad. Oh yeah, it also had that pointless CGI army versus another pointless CGI army that was just fighting in the background. I'm sitting there trying to pay attention to the character, and you're just distracting me with video game characters. You know, However, some of the bad CGI worked in this movie's favor because the characters were supposed to look like bad CGI on purpose, like no joke. So the bad CGI characters looked like bad CGI, which is what they were going for. And then on top of that, you would think that this movie was directed by a very pop culture referencing director like Kevin Smith, Edgar Wright, Quentin Tarantino, but no, it was directed by someone who all of those directors have been referencing their entire careers. Steven Spielberg. And he said that this movie was one of the hardest movies to direct. It was up there with Jurassic Park and Jaws. Yes, a movie that was completely made in a computer by someone other than Steven Spielberg was hard for Steven Spielberg. So basically he pulled a George Lucas who sat around on a chair, drinking coffee, having everyone do his work, only Spielberg claims it was hard work for him. Now you're pissing me off. Crystal Skull and then this? So, I give it an N, because I could see how some people might like it on a surface level, not on a very shallow level. People will go, oh look, I know that. Characters are doing stuff. I don't. I was paying attention to the movie. The plot annoyed me, and it felt very pandering. So, I'm gonna give it an N. And that's what the average consumer thinks of Ready Player One. And that's what the average consumer thinks of the first couple months of 2018.